All right, thank you very much. Yeah, hello everybody. So today we'll be giving an overview of the our consortium working group updates. This is a joint presentation with Adrian, Kate, and Andy. So I would like to start with a overview of the R Consortium. So R Consortium is a nonprofit organization to support our foundation and our community. We collaborate with industry to promote, develop, and extend the reach of our software, and also help ensure the future of R through infrastructure, education, and collaboration, and financial support. And here we also show kind of a number of member companies to our consortium. You probably see many familiar logos over there. During the past several years, the pharma industry has been very active in our consortium, and you probably heard about a number of different pharma working groups under our consortium. Started last year, we established this our consortium pharma oversight committee, just try to kind of like coordinate the working groups a little bit better. So basically for this pharma oversight committee, the members are members from the pharma member companies, and then like each member company get one voting seat in this committee. And then the remit of this committee is to initiate new pharma working groups based on the need, and also vote for funding allocation to working groups which are asking for fundings. And in terms of our consortium working groups, all the working groups are from the community. Those working group proposals are coming from the community, and anyone can participate in any working group, no matter whether you're in a member company or not, no matter which organization you belong to. And all those working groups operate openly. So basically, our meeting notes materials are publicly available at the GitHub repository. So in today's presentation, we'll be giving an overview of 5 different active working groups under our consortium. I will start with the R submission working group. In this working group, we try to provide example R submission materials to the public, and then also try to identify potential gaps in R-based submissions. And following that, Adrian will be giving an overview of the R table for regulatory reporting working group. The goal of that working group is to develop packages and white papers for generating tables to fulfill regulatory requirements. And after that, Kate will be giving an overview of our certification working group. And this working group is working on our trainings and certifications for the SaaS to our transition. And after that, Andy will be giving an overview of the R adoption series and also the R validation hub. The R adoption series is a series of webinars focusing on adoption of R. And then our validation hub is a joint working group with PSI. The goal is to develop software risk assessment tools and white papers. So for the R consortium R submission working group, as the name indicates, this is focusing on making submissions easier, making R-based submissions easier. Yeah, so our short-term goal is try to make the R-based submissions easier today. To do that, we're trying to provide some open examples of using current submission portals. For example, how to use the current FDA ECTD portal to conduct R-based submission. In the future, we definitely want to make the R submissions even easier tomorrow. Yeah, so our hope is that we can collect feedback and get some experience based on the current standard and current portals, and then try to provide those feedback to different stakeholders, and hopefully that could influence future industry standard or some technical setup of the systems. So recently we have been working on this ECTD submission pilot 1. This is an R-based submission, and we're hoping that we can get it submitted in December this year. The goal of this pilot is trying to provide some examples on R-based submission materials. For example, how to prepare R code when you submit it through ECTD portal, how to prepare the proprietary R package, and how to write ADRG for R-based submissions. And we will identify areas for improvement. And the scope of this pilot is very small. We will submit our code that be used to generate 4 TLFs. And the data generation is out of scope for this pilot right now. So we will be using the simulated data from the CDISC pilot. If you want to learn more about the submission working group or about this pilot, you can visit our GitHub page over here. And this working group is a large collaboration across both the agency and also a number of like industry companies. And if you are interested in getting involved, please feel free to contact myself, Elon from Merck, or Joe from our studio. So with that, I will turn it to Adrian.
Good, thank you, Ning. Yes, so the tables working group, the Consortium table working group, focuses on various aspects of table creation for regulatory reporting, and we are planning to write a number of papers on the topic that we plan to publish. And we look at different aspects of table creation. One is, how do we get to the cell values? How do we render those tables to different outputs? And I assume that's where teach-in that was yesterday presented becomes very relevant. Then we plan to look into how do we make tables in production and how orchestrate them. And then it's like the close cousin, how do we create listings? And so for all of those topics, we would like to also get input from you. So if you actually are an author, or if you have a lot of experience in table, please join us. If you have a table, if you've tried to create a table that you find very difficult to create, that would be very good if you send Joe Reichert an email with those tables, and we try to incorporate them in our papers to show how different table frameworks can create simple but also difficult tables. And so, as Ning mentioned, our work is all public available. You can go and look where we are and what we're currently working on the given GitHub link. Good, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. Seems Kate may have some technical difficulties, so I will cover the R certification working group as well. Yeah, so for the R certification working group, it is basically like more focusing on like education and also certification in this kind of hybrid work of SAS and R in this clinical trial space. And recently, like the working group is working on a curriculum and developing some technical content of the training and certification materials. The scope include, say, a clinical trial overview, some background knowledge of SAS, some background knowledge of R foundations and modelings, and also best practices, including verification, documentation, and workflows. Similar to other working groups, if you are interested in like either review the materials from this working group or help with content creation or content editing, please feel free to contact Kate or Joe. And you can also find more information in the GitHub repository of this working group. So with that, I will turn it to Andy.
Okay, so I've got a couple to go through. Hopefully, I think we're doing quite well for time. Earlier this year, we set up something called the R Adoption Series. This is a series of essentially webinars and discussion pitched at those people like me who are responsible for delivering the R adoption initiatives within their organization. So those of you who are behind the steering wheel, driving change within your organization, trying to lead people towards R. And from that perspective, you might be interested in training, in other forms of capability development. You might be interested in environments, in packages, and essentially what all of these sessions are devoted sessions to those topics. So there's a presentation and there is a normally discussion in the form of either a panel or breakouts to dive into those topics in a bit more detail. So if you've missed the launch of the series back in July, there's a couple of links to videos on the slide. The first one being scaling our GSK, so based on environments and training strategies from Janssen more recently, and coming up in a couple of weeks, Roche, a group of people from Roche, I think including Adrian, in fact, will be talking about our package management at Roche. So if you go to the Consortium homepage, look under webinars, and you can get more information on that. And we'll be following up with some more webinars. There's another one in December, and then we'll be continuing into the new year. If you go to the next slide, Ning.
Sorry.
The R Validation Hub. There we go. So other thing is, I normally come to this conference and I talk a lot about the R Validation Hub. So this will be the shortest ever presentation I've given on the R Validation Hub. It's been mentioned already several times, and we obviously had the R Validation panel discussion yesterday. So hopefully you're all well aware that this group exists, and it's probably one of the oldest, if not the oldest, pharma-related working group in the R Consortium. The deliverables we've had to date, the white paper came out maybe nearly approaching 2 years ago now, and we accompanied that more recently with the risk metric R package, which was released to CRAN earlier this year, and our risk assessment application continues to be developed in line with that to support people working through the metrics and assessing packages. Those are our key technical deliverables, and we're continuing to work on all of those, and there will be future white papers as well. But what we're currently doing in terms of new focus is looking at case studies. If you've attended all the conference and you saw yesterday, Julianne Manetz presented what's happening at Merck Serono around adapting this framework that we proposed in the white paper, and we're looking essentially for more examples like that we can share and put out for public opinion, so we can all start to reach a bit more of a consensus as to how to implement these, and obviously we'll write those up and share those accordingly. With that, I'm at my time, I think. So all I will say is, if you're interested, please sign up, go to the mailing list, and that's how you're going to hear about all the latest things. Otherwise, we do have a blog that is fairly regularly kept up to date, so you can visit the website anytime and see if you don't want to join the mailing list. But please do join, and obviously we're always looking for volunteers. It's completely volunteer run, so we'd love more people to get involved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, do we have any open questions? I'm looking. So Danielle asked, do you have any talk or resources on the social organizational part of R adoption? I'm currently trying to establish R in a digitally challenged organization. Any tips or strategies on how to do that?
It's a good suggestion for a talk, certainly through the series. Tips or suggestions. Adrian, your face looked like you were ready to say something there, so I'll let you.
I always have an opinion on enough, but I think that is a good that would be a good also panel discussion. That's actually a lot of work to both set up the releases, then document it, provide the trainings, provide support, and have like workshops and communication channels. So that actually takes quite a bit of work in our case to kind of make that as transparent and as usable as possible. So how to start? I think the best way to start is, don't use it for immediately regulated pieces, use it for exploratory pieces in your, like, try to provide added value, not core business, and then slowly build up the knowledge and the tools that you can then swap it over to the core business. This, I think, is a better adoption strategy than going directly into deliver TLGs that immediately go to the health authorities.
Yeah, there was. Oh, sorry, Ning, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that I feel like from the our adoption series, like it was like touch base, like from the talks, right? And I'm pretty sure the speakers will love to chat more if you reach out. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And I was just going to add that we did touch slightly on that subject last time when we were talking about training. But yeah, I do think it's a big enough topic to have its own its own webinar and discussion on. And to Adrian's point, yeah, I agree. It's definitely not about targeting what do we do today in SaaS and going after that regulatory piece. I think it's probably actually a two-pronged approach where you do a little bit of that is going to be important, but actually it's the what can you do with Shiny and our Markdown and these kind of add-on tools that kind of add the value beyond what we do today. So showing the sort of the art of the possible, if you like, with R that's really important.
Yeah, I maybe can add to that as well that we have found that a company like at Roche, my colleagues have found that actually making the output in R is one part. The other piece is the Git workflow, not new ways of working, how to use different infrastructure, what's the process, how do you get transparency to that? That's another huge, that huge part that needs quite a bit of upskilling and training, and also discussion. So yeah, I think it's a huge topic. It should be taken slowly and then I think iteratively improved.
One question else we have, some folks are interested in how to join our consortium. Where do they sign up? How much does it cost? What are the levels of membership?
Yeah, I think those are on our consortium website. And yeah, also if you email Joe, I'm pretty sure he'll be happy to provide the information. Yeah.
We should add as well, I suppose, you can join the R Consortium, but you can also join in the working groups for free as well if you're an individual looking to contribute. So it would obviously be great to have more people, more kind of clout behind the R Consortium, more names on there to share. I think it adds weight when you go to a company and say, look, all these companies are getting together and working on these things. I think that helps. But if you're just an individual and you want to get involved, then you work out which of the working groups is probably the most appropriate for you. Where can you really add value, and what's of interest to you? Because ultimately you're probably doing it in your own time, and follow up with the leaders of those working groups. They've all got their own pages, and you can get it all from the R Consortium website.
We got a couple more minutes left. There's one question I kind of wanted to ask. Does the R Consortium have any opinions on, because so much of the tooling is around open source toolkits, does the R Consortium have any concepts around other non-R specific workflows that are more just open source theme, like Python integration? I know our studio has a lot of tooling that basically kind of does this overlap. How does the R Foundation? Maybe it's just an idea for a conversation.
Yeah, I feel like currently the working groups are very R focused, but I also agree like things are kind of interconnected. So I feel like when we talk about systems workflows, and it's not purely R, there will be containers and things like that. Yeah, so I feel like the main focus is always around how to make it easy to use R. But when we talk into the technical details, oftentimes container will be thrown out, maybe JavaScript, maybe Python, etc. Yeah.
For me, because we've got this initiative internally at GSK where we want to become a multilingual community, and we very much talk about R as the stepping stone to that. Everything, certainly the two slides that I presented on both the R validation hub work, I mean, you could call that the Python validation hub and nothing would change about what we're doing. So you do that for R and the approach would be exactly the same for Python. And similarly, the R adoption series, it will be easier for other languages. I think if most people are going after R first, you do that, it becomes a bit easier to then adopt the next program, next open source language moving on. But again, it could equally be the Python adoption series, and we probably go about it in a very similar way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like for submission it's the same. If we change all the R to Python, it will be the same. It's just kind of how to write an ADRG with non-SAS code. Yeah.
very, very true. Cool. Do we have any other questions in the chat or QA? I don't see anything else. Do you have any kind of closing comments? Anything else you'd want to bring up? Just go to our consortium, take a look, get involved, try to find a place where you can add, and it's open to all. So
yeah, join us. Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, exactly those closing comments, Michael.
Thank you all so much for making sure and extending and bringing it out, and it's great to see kind of these groups grow over time. I think they're helping everybody, so it's very, very good.